This is like take two, innit? Take two of the kind of vlog, blog, podcast, dear diary, journal, whatever it is. You know, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I have the tools available to me. It's 2022. I've got a mobile phone, a smartphone. I've got a car. I can sit in Heath Hall Forest and go live and talk to myself like I'm sitting in a shrink's chair talking to someone, you know, because they do say that, you know, when you verbalize things, it does actually, when you verbalize things, it's a healing thing, because you, even if it's just I'm talking to a tree or a sign, I'm talking to a sign, it's a sign. If I'm talking, then what you find is when you verbalize things, even if it's just, this was quite crazy, you're talking to a camera, essentially, POV, and I'm talking, and just in doing that, it's a useful exercise, because then I get a different fix on things, issues, problems, everything that you know. It's kind of like purging the crazy, like I say, when you're out training on the bike. Yeah, you know, so talking is a good way to get a even if, you know, like, it may be seen like there's Dave's boring tone. What's he blabbing on about now? It's so fucking boring. Well, just imagine every single, because I'm talking about the cycling today, right? Just imagine every pedal revolution after pedal revolution, going round and round and round and round, like my droll tone, going on and on and on and on. They're both boring. So it's a good fit then, isn't it? No, it's just, this is like vlogging, blogging kind of thing, right? So I'm talking about the cycling. Context, right? We're in hill climb season, which is traditionally September, and it's now October, and hill climb season does actually go into October. The National Hill Climb Championship is on the 30th of October. So that's kind of like the culmination. I was going to be entering 4 hill climbs, right? And we're on, I've already done one. There's the context, right? I did Peth Bank, the last live thing, well, 2 live streams ago, I was talking about Peth Bank. That was looming. We're now at the point where we've done it. Peth Bank was yesterday, right? So we did Peth Bank, we drove down to Lanchester to do Peth Bank. This is about me, this live vlog today or whatever, is me talking about Peth Bank and about the fact that it was shit and what went wrong and where we're at now, you know, because I'm kind of at the point where I've taken a step back and I'm going, what the fuck am I doing this for? Tell you what I did. Yesterday I went on my Strava and I caught National Hill Climb champion Andrew Feather. I caught a glimpse of him because I clicked on his name. His name was on one of the leaderboards. His name is on all the leaderboards of all these hill climbs all over the place because he enters a lot of these things. He's basically the top climber in the country. Current National Hill Climb champion. He'll probably win it again this year. He is the man. Doesn't look like there's anybody to sort of challenge him really quite impressive. But we did Peth Bank yesterday, and I clicked on the Strava, his name on the Strava thing on the leaderboard, and he was on obviously top spot. I clicked on his name and then I started looking through his stuff, and it was the most depressing thing. It's a bit like, you know, like an aspiring guitarist or something, and they watch someone play and they go, I'm gonna throw it, like they go and see Tommy Emmanuel or, you know, whoever it is, and they go, I'm gonna throw my guitar out and never play this thing again, because if that's how good I got to be to compete, then forget it, you know. So it was quite depressing. Doc Snipes talks about when she's talking about strategies to kind of all sorts of different stuff, right? But strategies to improve your mood, and, you know, just for good mental health. And her focus, just like a lot of people, is in the cognitive behavioral side of it, right? And she talks about addressing vulnerabilities, right? And just having a fix on your vulnerabilities, and just as, you know, and being mindful of these things in order to kind of prevent relapse into, you know, depression, anxiety. You know, you could, because I've had that, where I go into these periods where I go into these deep, like, not deep in terms of the scale of it, but I can go into these periods of depression and anxiety even. So I've got to watch what I do is to prevent that. And what she talks about is, one of the things she talks about is some of the strategies that you would employ to address potential vulnerabilities, so that you don't relapse into, you know, you go down just this autopilot into, you know, a bad mood, all the rest of it. So some of the things that can trigger you into this are things like, you know, exhaustion, tiredness, lack of sleep, you know, poor nutrition, you know. And if you've not been doing your mindfulness exercises, and then if you're just on this kind of autopilot and you're just employing your default mode network, and you're just in monkey mind the whole time, just going about your business, not taking time out to kind of make sure that you're calibrated properly, so that you are not in danger of, as I say, relapsing into depressions and all this kind of thing, right? So the night before the hill climb, I'd hardly had any sleep. I was like, I'd only had a couple hours sleep because I thought I needed to get up early. I set the alarm for 7 o'clock, which is only an hour earlier than I would normally get up, right? And I tossed and turned all night, and I was like, and I woke up at 3 o'clock, and I'm like, have I missed the alarm? Have I slept through the alarm? I was paranoid I was going to sleep through the alarm. So it was 3 o'clock, and then I woke up again. I kept waking up, didn't get a proper night's sleep, and eventually I got up, and I got up in time, but I didn't have a good night's sleep, you know. And then, of course, I drive down there, do the hill climb, legs are in a shit state, and I do the hill climb, and pound the legs up the hill climb, even though I'm not feeling at my best, you know. And then after it, warm down and put a good effort into that. And then in the afternoon, I had another wee session to kind of loosen the muscles off, right? So you can imagine by the time I get to the evening, I'm pretty fucking exhausted, right? But even though I've had my kind of like warm little cozy little relaxation glow in the afternoon where I felt quite good, right? Still by the evening, I was feeling pretty vulnerable, like really tired. So when I clicked on Andrew Feather's name and I looked at all his stuff, and I'm going, fucking hell, he is the man. You know, he's got his name on all these on the tops of all these leaderboards on all these different climbs, right? And I kind of thought, if he came to the region, he'd just take any of the hill climb KOMs that I've got, he'd just take them just without even trying. And it just kind of depressed me, right? As I say, I was kind of vulnerable because of the tiredness, you know, because when you're tired, you're more vulnerable to going into these states of mind, and, you know, tend to be negative, don't they, you know? Rather than just go, look, recharge, I've done well, just recharge and enjoy the wee afterglow I did. I'm proud of myself that I went and turned up and entered the thing, you know, rather than that. I know with myself, I've got a tendency to be hard on myself, so if I'm overly tired, the tendency is to catastrophize and start being too critical and say, oh, why did I do this? Oh, I've not done this. Oh, I'm not as good as I should be. Look at all the effort I've put in, I'm still shit. So, you know. So that was a little moment there, right, where I thought, and what was interesting about that is when I clicked on his Strava page and looked at all his achievements and everything, right, it depressed me because for a moment I was like looking at my own life and going, what the fuck are you doing this for, Dave? All this cycling, what the fuck are you doing it? Because it's been losing its, to a certain extent, it's been losing its glow, and the thrill has kind of like been going a wee bit, right? So I was vulnerable, you know, when I looked at this athlete. I'm looking at him and going, he's fucking brilliant, and I'm shit, you know. And then I kind of thought, and then what did I do? Again, talking about the vulnerabilities and everything. What happened was I ended up eating a couple of packs of breakfast bars all in one go. So there's your vulnerabilities, right? And there's your exhaustion, tiredness, blah, blah, blah. And then there's the behavior, addictive behavior, whatever, you know. You're more likely to engage in addictive behaviors if you're vulnerable, if you're tired and blah, 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 right? So as I say, I ate all of the breakfast bars. And you could say that's no big deal, but that's one of my weaknesses, you know, is kind of comfort eating. You could, you know, that's what we did there. So the plan was that I was going to be doing the air hill climb, you know, Peth Bank on the Saturday, air on the Sunday. I was going to be doing that. And what happened, of course, I just was like, oh, I don't think I've got enough money for petrol. Oh, the weather's going to be shit tomorrow anyway. Oh, I'm not going to do very well. Oh, even though I'd got the bike ready and, you know, been quite disciplined about all my kind of rituals and behaviours to do with the preparation of it and everything, right? And I ended up going, oh, fuck it, and just resting up and deciding to not do the air thing, right? So then I woke up, but at least I got a good night's sleep, right? And I woke up this morning and my mood was a bit better because I had a reasonably good night's sleep, right? And then I thought about what had happened the night before. I thought, right, Dave, just have a wee morning meditation, have your porridge and your coffee as you normally do, and get into that nice little warm little space, you know, little comfortable, get into your happy place, right? And I did that, and I pondered the night before, and I thought, Dave, what's going on with you? Why the night before was I so negative and like just basically beating myself up? And it's almost like I'd believed in a religion, and the belief had, the walls had just all come down in one go, and I'm going, what the fuck are you cycling for? And that was just ridiculous. That's what happens, isn't it? The mind can take over. The mind can, you get into the mind, as I say, the monkey mind kind of thing, even though it's just, you know, the negative thoughts. And I was, so this morning I was like, I need to address this and kind of think about what I'm doing. So I thought, look, don't be so hard on yourself, Dave, you know. Remind yourself that the cycling is all about, you know, you're never going to be, you know, Tour de France winner, especially at this age, you know. You've had your achievements, right? There are more achievements to come, and you've got to believe that, you know. Just because you have a bad day, it doesn't mean like throw the whole thing in the bin. So when that thing happened, the Peth Bank thing happened, where the legs really weren't on it, at least I can go, well, the Dave of years ago would have been so depressed and beat myself up and what's going on. I've spent all that money on petrol and made all the effort and trained really hard, and it just went shit on the day. You know, the Dave years ago would have been so negative and depressed about it. This time, at least I can say mentally I'm not in a really bad spot. All I did was comfort eat. I mean, that's the worst of it, really, and get a little bit negative for a while, but I just bounced back like a pro because I'm so resilient, you know. So that's what I did. And but I thought it was important to address. I thought it was important to address the this issue of why do I feel so negative about the whole thing. And so what I've done today is I'm still kind of pondering this, and I'm going, right, the most important thing is for me to take a step back and remind myself, what are you doing this for? What are you doing the cycling for? What are your goals going to be? What are you doing it for? Keep it all in its place, and just like, don't just be on autopilot, you know, kind of like take a wee step back in order to kind of come back with a renewed vigour. Because part of the problem, as I've just alluded to before, is that I was just kind of getting jaded with the whole thing. So today, I've taken a day off. Today I'm doing fuck all. I'm doing fuck all cycling today. I think that's been part of the problem. You see, what I've done, part of the thing involved in cycling, right, or any kind of cardio pursuit, there's a whole... there's different things different types of workouts that you do. One of them is the active rest thing, where it's just you're resting up, but you're keeping the blood flowing. It's akin to kind of like, you know, massage, but you're putting in a bit of effort. And I said on one of my recent Strava activities, I said I've been doing active rest, but my legs haven't really seen it that way. In other words, like, you know, you could say I'm doing active rest, but sometimes the legs just want rest, right? So that's what I'm doing today, rest. And that's sometimes all you need is time out. I mean, a day is fuck all, you know. So even 3-4 days, even 2, they talk about to avoid the burnout and complete catastrophe. Some people even take a couple of weeks out and they really reassess what they're doing the thing for, you know. If I rewind about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was really, this is the problem, and I was talking last night about this. I'm a victim of being, this isn't a joke, I'm a victim of being too enthusiastic to sometimes, and putting too much effort in, because I was doing really well, and then that just made me push it. But one of my weaknesses, I push it too much, so I pushed it too much, and then I ended up, I was too overly tired and putting too much effort in, and that's kind of fucked me. So that's probably why I did badly in the hill climb, or not as well as I should have done. I only did 6 seconds faster than last year, which is really quite shit. I should have been like 30 seconds to a minute faster, you know, based on how my form was going. So it's just on the day. I think it's just like overtiredness, overtraining. So I've taken this wee step out, and I'm going, right, definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. So what we're doing today is we're doing fuck all today, and we're gonna, so let's talk about that now. Let's assess what I'm doing the cycle for. Let's express that now, and come back to reality. Because, you know, as I said before in a recent one, I was saying, like, as an athlete, even if you're just an amateur, you do get into that kind of deluded state of kind of like telling yourself you're a Superman, because you kind of have to be positive in order to do some of these things. But the danger is, if you're too positive, you can get into this kind of deluded territory where you've got to have realistic goals, and you can kind of, I guess, there becomes like a mismatch between your goals and what's actually happening, and you're going, what is going on here? Am I overtraining, or am I getting old? Or am I training wrong? Or do I just need a couple of and sometimes you don't see the wood for the trees because you're training all the time. And even though you're doing the active rest every day, you know, where you're constantly doing it, that can, you see, I'm coming up with some solutions, as I said before, just by talking about this, right? What I think the problem has been is doing the active rest thing, like cycling every day, has just basically worn me down. I haven't been taking enough breaks, and it's left me jaded and pretty pissed off. Because you do plateau, you need to keep things rejuvenated in order to move forward, because the whole goal is to improve. You don't want to plateau there. And a couple of weeks ago, I was on the threshold of like the next level, and I've actually pushed it too much. So it's pulled me down. So the secret is not catastrophizing and just, as I say, taking a step back. So, so back to what I was saying. Yeah, we're going to get a fix on what are we doing it for, right? So I've got to remind myself, right? I've got to actually rediscover, do I actually enjoy this, right? So let's tick that box. Yes, I do enjoy it. If I'm just rested up enough, and you know, I do enjoy doing it, right? We don't have to be Lance Armstrong or Chris Froome. We don't have to be that. We have to be the best me. I want to be the best me. You know, this was supposed to be my year. That's what's so funny. This was supposed to be my year, and it doesn't mean, like I say, I'm deluded. I thought I was going to win the Tour de France. It just meant that my performances were going to be, I was going to do shit that I was going to be impressed by, you know. And it's not to like egotistically impress anyone else. It's just for myself, you know, for the personal goals, in order to psych myself up for life, you know, just to keep myself, so I've got energy for fucking life and for work and everything else, because it makes you feel good, doesn't it? It's a good thing. It's a positive thing. So that's what the whole cycling is for. The cycling is supposed to, one, I enjoy it. Two, it's good to keep me fit and feeling good energy. My mood increases. Plus, I do like the goal-orientated thing and having goals and everything, and that's what the stats, chasing the stats is all good for. It's goal-orientated, and it keeps me enthusiastic about stuff, and it fires me up for this and that. So in conclusion, right, I am still going to cycle, even though I had a shit day. I am still going to cycle. I'm just going to be wary of training every day. I'm going to have at least one day of zero cycling in the week, right, to recover. And also what I'm not going to do is do like what I did a couple of weeks ago, which is 4 big efforts in the 1 week. That fucked me, you know, looking back. So you can't do too many big efforts during the week, because you will break your body down, and when you're working a physical job as well, you'll end up fucked. So I do still enjoy it. We're gonna not train so hard so many times during the week. Less is more. We're gonna have good mileage, but less hard efforts during the week. We're gonna recharge and have at least one day where we do nothing, and it was a bit ambitious, right? I mean, even though it was only 4 hill climbs, I was going to be doing 4 hill climbs, right? Entering 4, but even that's a little bit ambitious, because you look at all the like working during the week as well, plus the training, plus targeting your Strava kind of segments. You add that all up, and that is quite a lot to take on. So the conclusion is do less. Less is more, you know, and spin to win and everything else. Because it's just, you get into a fallacy state where you actually end up doing stuff to your detriment, which is, you know, doing too much and end up fucking yourself. Less is more, basically, is how you address that fallacy. The fallacy of not the perfection fallacy, but the fallacy of unrealistic expectations. Having something in your mind that you falsely attach to. In other words, these, unrealistic expectations is is a kind of fallacy, because you're equating doing all this shit to greater success, when actually the truth is the opposite. So so basically I'm going to go home and have a shit and potter around, and we will come back stronger. And Corbridge, and again, it wasn't a bad thing to come back to the Andrew Feather thing. Looking at that top cyclist page, it wasn't a bad thing to have happened, because it was like, well, Dave, you're happy, you enjoy doing your thing. You have good goals. You have the goals that you have are still cool. You know, don't take your eye off the ball. You still have even a couple of months, even November. Sometimes the weather's good enough. So, Corbridge, what's also good is that Corbridge isn't happening next week. Corbridge, the Prospect Hill climb competition, is happening 2 weeks hence, right? So we've got a good time to recalibrate, sort ourselves out, and no be all depressed and everything. Actually, just learn from that hill climb that went shit, and relax a bit more, and just work less hard during the week as well, and also do less efforts during the week, you know, and then hopefully we'll do better. So less is more, and we're still going to enjoy the cycling, and enjoy walking. We'll have a shit, and then we'll go a walk around the forest, and that's as good as anything, you know, because I just felt the whole, you know, dysregulated dopaminergic system happening, you know. It's like, well, I didn't feel that kind of, you know, I feel that kind of flatness, like nothing's really, you know, and that's just overworked and overtraining. That will do that to you, to the point where it doesn't really get you going. So you need your little recalibration breaks. And I'm repeating myself, but I mean, you kind of go. I mean, yesterday, right? I'm talking about feeling flat and everything, right? I only felt good by the time I got to the warm down. Right? I was doing the warm up, and I felt like my first pedal stroke, I was like, oh, this is not happening today. How the fuck am I going to pull something out of the bag here? This is fucking shite. And then by the time I kept going on the 40-minute warm-up, and then I did the whole thing, it was only until afterwards when I did the warm-down. I had a big, long warm-down and went up this kind of gradual hill, put it on the big ring, and just kind of did a 3/4 effort up this, I don't know what they call that, level 3 or something, but up this hill. And it was like, then the endorphins were starting to flood my system, actually. I felt this, like, whoa, this buzz. It was like all the endorphins hit, and I'm like, fucking hell, I feel high as a kite now. I'm buzzing. I'm really psyched up for this. But that was the warm down. That was after the event. So there's a wee lesson in that about warming up properly. And then part of it is, as you get a bit older, the body takes longer to warm up. So, you know, I knew that anyway, and I thought 40 minutes would have been enough. But I mean, there's a wee lesson there. Maybe even longer. More than 40 minutes is what I should do for the next one. So, we need to recalibrate, have the dopaminergic system, allow it to be relaxed so it can come back strong, you know, so it's not over. We don't want to be overstimulated by too much training. So, because that was a good thing that happened yesterday when I had the kind of when the endorphins hit in the warm down. That was a good thing, actually. I'm glad. This is again the experience. I just intuited that after the event I need to keep spinning the legs, because I'm like, fucking hell, I'm not really quite on it. I'm there. So I kept going, and I'm glad I kept going, because as I say, I had the, like they call the runner's high, you know, the cyclist's high. I felt all the feel-good chemicals flood my system, and that reminded me, Dave, this is why you do it. You enjoy this shit. This feels good. So it was a good wee thing to have happened. So that should have happened during the event, really. You're supposed to be buzzing when you hit the start line, you know, as Chad Smith says, you know, you want to be slamming from the first beat. So, longer warm-up. Here are the lessons, right? Longer warm-up. We need to remind ourselves what the fuck we're doing, that we still enjoy the cycling. Right, so we're going to do all the right things. We're going to still be disciplined and still be doing it every day, but we're going to have more time to rest and recover and chill out and not be doing it all the time. And we're also going to warm up properly on the day of the competition, you know. I just was surprised at how much it took my body to warm up. So that's what we'll do. Corbridge a few weeks' time. It's good that we're not doing them all the time, these competitions. If I was doing it, I was going to be doing like 2 every weekend. Like I would have done like 6 by now, but the cost of fuel, everything, I can't even afford to do it. So it's probably not a bad thing that I've only done 1. And we'll do Corbridge a week hence, and it's good that I'll have had more time to prepare for it. And you don't want to do the same bullshit again, so we're going to learn the lessons and we're going to turn up. We're going to try and get a decent night's sleep for one thing, and be tapered down, which I was doing in the training, taper down, but taper down even more, you know. Rest, relaxation, and recover. There you go, the 3 R's, you know, rest, relaxation, and recover. And warm up properly. And when we turn up, we're also going to enjoy the fucking vibe of the event, because what you find is it's like going to a gig or something. It is like an event, you know, you do feel the vibe. There is a vibe at these events. It's cool because you're around people. I mean, we've got to remind ourselves, like, that's why we're doing it. It's the thrill of doing it, but it's the sense of fucking togetherness and everything, innit? Like, you do feel that. And because I didn't turn up to the club very often, right? Because I don't turn up to the local club very often. I'm not really part of that scene because I'm a bit of a loner with the whole training thing, right? I just do it on my own. That's something that I thought, that I said before, was going to change, and I really do feel I need to make that change, you know, make more of an effort with the club and turn up on the group rides and enjoy that. Break it up. I watched the Google talk, as I said before, and it was talking about like breaking things up by doing something individual, doing something new to break the routine, right? And maybe it wasn't a bad thing, as I conclude this, that it went pear-shaped. Because when things don't go according to plan, you end up doing things slightly differently. And that's what we'll be doing on more group riding, more socialising, and just putting things into perspective and not enjoying it, having fun, and not being so goal orientated. So and the irony is that I'll probably end up doing better because of that. So next hill climb, Corbridge, near Corbridge, near Hexham, Prospect Hill. A couple of weeks time, I got to do that, and it'll be like a wee. I've done that one before, and it'll be fun to turn up at that, and because I'm kind of notorious for that video I did, Kim, and I was kind of pulling my tits out and all that, and they all liked that video. That was a wee celebration during the first COVID period, where it was one of the first events after the lockdown was ended and everything. So when I turn up at that, that'll be a wee fucking celebration. That's what it should be in conclusion, isn't it? Sport's supposed to be a celebration of life as much as anything, isn't it? It's not supposed to be this, you know, kind of, whatever shitty activity that depresses you. It's supposed to be something that uplifts you, and that's what we're trying to do. Remind ourselves now, fucking enjoy it. And a day like this, like in the wood, we're at the wood here, like this would be a day just to bring the fucking cheap mountain bike out and go around on the mountain bike and enjoy. There's a breaking up the routine thing, innit? Like, go out on the mountain bike, don't be doing everything on the road bike, break up the routine. That was the other thing that was good about going away from doing a hill climb outside of the region, because that was probably why I felt the kind of buzz as well, was just being on different roads. You know, I just do the same old routes here, and I don't explore enough. So that's another thing I've learned about talking out loud today on this and listening to the sound of my own voice. I've discovered something new, right? What we're going to do is we're going to explore new routes. Dumfries and Galloway is a big fucking place, and even around Dumfries is big. I mean, just look at this forest, Heath Hill Forest, right? This says there's a lot to fucking explore. Just, you could get lost in this wee forest, right? So, the goal should be have at least one day where when I go out on the bike, I explore different roads than I would normally go down, just to kind of like keep it exciting, keep it novel, because you do get jaded with doing the same old routes. You know, it's all very well to do the same old routes, so that you can test your performance test your times based on previous times, but you need to do new shit. So that's the conclusion of this. We're gonna revive this shit. We're gonna create new. We're gonna be reborn as a cyclist by that, because of that sort of, because of the hill climb. It didn't go so well the other day. It did go. It was an enjoyable day overall. It was good, right? But the hill climb wasn't brilliant itself. But good things are going to come out of that. And a couple of weeks' time, Corbridge, that's the next one. And then there's the Hill Climb Championship on the 30th. I don't think there's any way they'll be able to afford to do that. But we'll be doing Prospect Hill in a couple of weeks' time. That's right, aye. Ta. Do it. Makes sense. Makes us stronger than ever. Hour after hour, work is never over. Working harder, make it better. Do it faster, makes us stronger than ever. Hour after hour, work is never over. Working harder, make it better. Do it faster, makes us stronger than ever. Hour after hour, work is never over. Working harder, make it better. Do it faster, makes us stronger than ever. Never